Want to be in the video too? Want to talk about books? You just gonna lay down? Okay, don't move. Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Holly and this is my booktube channel. It's been a minute since I've just kind of sat down and done a sit down video. I've been doing a lot of vlog style stuff lately, so it's nice to be back with the traditional video. Today I'm sitting down near my book cart, my TBR cart, and one of my main bookshelves. I've got a bunch more over that way, but I'm sitting down here today because we are doing the mid-year book freakout tag. This is kind of that popular tag you see all over booktube around this time of year. It's the middle of the year and people are talking about where they're at in their reading year and some of the books that surprised them or authors they'd never heard of, or all the things you'll see as we get into each question. But I thought this would be a great tag for me to do, and I saw my buddy Cliff doing it, so I'm jumping on the bandwagon. So let's just jump right in. The first question is the best book you've read so far in 2023. I always hate this question because I can never pick. They're all so different. And I honestly don't know. Like, I'm sitting here thinking about it, and as I was writing these questions down and trying to figure out answers, I just don't know. Maybe when we get through the rest of these questions and talk about some of the other books, maybe I'll get a better idea of which one I thought has been the best so far this year. So we'll skip that one for now and come back to it. The next question is the best sequel you've read so far in 2023. For this question, I've only read one sequel so far this year. Every other book has been the first in a series or a standalone, and that book is Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in the Throne of Glass series, which has been widely popular. It probably needs no introduction, but it is the only sequel that I've read so far this year, so by default, it is the best, and it was very good as well. The next question is a new release that you haven't read yet, but you want to. I have a couple for this one. One of them is actually here on my book cart. I've mentioned this in my June TBR, I believe, and that is Conjuring the Witch by Jessica Leonard. This one came out, I want to say in May, early May. It's a new release, kind of a short horror novella type of deal, and it's definitely one I've been trying to get to and I'm looking forward to. Another book that I'm of course looking forward to is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. That one came out this week. Yeah, this week, and I have not gotten my hands on it. We'll see if I actually do. My mom said that she actually pre-ordered it for me from Amazon, but then Amazon emailed her and basically said, yeah, we don't have enough to go around, so you are SOL, which blows my mind. Like, how can you do that as one of the world's major suppliers in that regard? I don't know, but haven't gotten my hands on that one. Would love to eventually. You know, and as I'm thinking about it, there's another sequel that just came out that I really want to read, and this was the first book, Falling by TJ Newman. I think y'all have heard me talk about this one. Her new book, Drowning, just came out not too long ago, I think maybe a month ago, and I'm really looking forward to that one because I very much enjoyed Falling. The next question says, your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I think it is no secret what mine is because I've talked about it a million times, and that is Holly by Stephen King. I'm not only pulled in by the name, but I read the Mr. Mercedes, well, the first book in the Mr. Mercedes Bill Hodges trilogy this year, and I'm hoping to get to books 2 and 3 in the next couple of months before Holly comes out in September, because Holly is one of the main characters in that trilogy, so you kind of have to read the trilogy in order to understand Holly. But not only is my name Holly, but I love Stephen King and I love the character Holly Gibney, so I'm really, really looking forward to getting my hands on that one for the second half of the year. The next question says, what book was your biggest surprise? And this may come as no surprise either, but it was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I think the actual physical book is way over there on the shelf and I don't want to get up and grab it, but I'll pop a picture of it somewhere up here on the screen so that y'all can see it. But it was definitely my biggest surprise. I tend to avoid overly hyped books for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know if I'm being a book snob, but that's ridiculous because I actually picked it up and loved it, and I've read books 1 and 2, and I cannot wait to get my hands on book 3. I have fallen in love with the story and the characters and the fantasy and the adventure, and I don't know why I was surprised. The whole world of BookTube and BookTok and Bookstagram told me they were good books. I just, you know, was quite the skeptic and didn't believe it, but I'm glad I picked it up. It was definitely a pleasant surprise, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the series. The next question is, what book has been your biggest disappointment of the year? And I hate to say it, but it would have to be While Justice Sleeps by Stacey Abrams. Most of you know I kind of DNF'd it about halfway through, and I still don't know if I'm going to go back and finish it. It was such a massive disappointment because I wanted to love it so much, and I really started out loving it. It just started really putting me off with like, it just got way too dense with like really heavy, complicated topics about chess and cybersecurity and cyber hacking, and I was like, hold on, this is supposed to be a legal thriller. Can we get back to like the corrupt government stuff and the lawyers and the senators? I need more of that. I wasn't really wanting all of the chess and technology details. Did I understand it? Yes, but it slowed down the story for me, and I could have cared less about all that. I'm like, I don't think many people do care. I appreciate the writing. I appreciate the brilliance of all that is Stacey Abrams. She is an incredible woman and just groundbreaker in her own right, but I was just kind of like going along with the story, and I thought it was really good, and then we started getting into all that stuff, and it was like I was trudging through sludge, and I was like, okay, you just slowed the whole thing down and you lost me. So I don't know if I'm going to give it a second chance or not. There is a sequel to this book, which is like the only reason I'm hanging on by a thread, because I really am curious about the sequel, but I don't know. We'll see. So far, definitely my biggest disappointment of 2023. The next question is, name a favorite new author. This can be a debut author, or the author is simply just new to you. And I kind of alluded to that about Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight, talking about Sarah J. Maas. Definitely a new author for me that I really, really enjoyed. And also T.J. Newman. Oh my gosh, I raved about this book. I love it. I want to read Drowning, the second in the series. Awesome, awesome new author. I think it kind of fits both. She's a debut author. This was her debut novel, and she's also new to me. So there you have it. That's another new author that I loved this year. Also, now that I'm thinking about it, another author that was at least new to me, I think you might have just seen Chief dart across. Another new author that was new to me was Taylor Adams. I read No Exit at the very beginning of this year, and then I read The Last Word by him just recently, just last month, and I absolutely, like, he's becoming a top favorite author just ever, like, of all time. Like, I love his writing, I love his style, I love the stories, the pace, the plot, it's all awesome. So those are kind of my top 3 that I can think of at the moment. The next question is, who is your newest fictional crush? Oof. I don't know if this counts as like a new fictional crush, but if you've been on my channel for a little while, you know that I love the series by Jack Carr, the Terminal List series. His main character, James Reese. I guess that would have to be a crush because he is just a total badass, you know? He's like the guy. He's the ex-Navy SEAL, the handsome guy, but he's also very familiar with fine wine, and he's a good cook, and he's outdoorsy, and just, he's the man. So definitely him, I think. The only other like close second at the moment might be Kale Westfall from Throne of Glass. I know I have not gotten through the entire series, so I'm sure there are going to be more fictional characters in that series that I will fall in love with. But so far, in the first 2 books, it's got to be him. I love a man in uniform. I love, you know, a loyal dude, a very structured dude, a very dependable kind of guy, and that's him. He's the captain of the guard, and he's very loyal and fierce and protective. And I love that. I'd say those have to be my two favorite fictional crushes at the moment. The next question is a book that made you cry. I don't cry much at all ever in general, but I tried to think of books that did like really hit me emotionally, even if I didn't cry. And the one that really came to mind was The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I think I talked about this in a recent video. I think it was maybe a reading vlog or something like that, but I think I warned y'all that there are quite a few trigger warnings in this, specifically dealing with children. And again, if I say exactly what it is, it spoils the entire book. But I will say that what I am talking about, I don't even have children yet, and it was emotionally very difficult to read. It was, oh, just heartbreaking. Like, through reading this, I feel for any woman or parents that have ever gone through what this character has gone through. And I won't say more than that, but if you think that might be a trigger for you, look it up before you read this. It's an amazing book, but that kind of content can be very difficult for some. So that would be the book that made me cry or emotional, and that would be Judge. There he is again. Yep. Okay. You gotta love a little comic relief when you're talking about sad books. The next question is, name a book that made you happy. For this one, and again, we're keeping this to books I've read in 2023. This isn't of all time, but of the ones I've read in 2023, I have a couple. First off was The Maid by Nita Prose. This was just an awesome book, and this honestly could go into the same questions about like a favorite new author or a favorite new debut author. This definitely could fit that category as well. She was new to me, and I think this was her first book as well, and I just loved it. I literally laughed out loud several times. I thought it was just amazing and heartwarming and funny and relatable, and I just loved it. This one very much made me happy. The second book that came to mind was Fairy Tale by Stephen King. I've talked about this one a lot, so I won't belabor the point, but made me so happy. Such a heartwarming story, such an awesome fantasy with lovable characters, and it just, it took me on such an adventure and made me so happy and made me just disconnect from the real world for a while, and I love that in a book. So this one definitely makes the books that make me happy prompt. The next question is, what's the most beautiful book you've bought or received this year? And I'll quickly mention, again, Fairy Tale by Stephen King. I technically got this for Christmas at the tail end of last year, so I'm not entirely sure it counts, but it's just got a beautiful cover, and the gold lettering is like raised and embossed, I guess is the word. And the entire book has just incredible illustrations that I love and appreciate, and that's just one of them. There are illustrations throughout this entire book. Like, for example, check this one out. Is that not epic? Look at that. I mean, how cool is that? It's just a beautiful book, beautiful story. Can't talk enough about it. There you have that one. Another book that I thought was just so cool is the newest Jack Carr book in the Terminalist series called Only the Dead. And it's just got this super cool tropical, there's like a yacht and the ocean, and it's just like, it looks like adventure. And I love the colors. It's like very summery. It's the latest one, and it's got the iconic, I want to say they call this, I forget exactly the type of hatchet/tomahawk that Jack Carr says this is. It's like his iconic one that is like, you know that's his brand, and I can't think of the name of it, but if you're a fan of these books, you know how cool that is to see. So I just was really excited to get this one. I got this one on my trip to Florida for my anniversary. I have a story in that vlog about how I ran all over the airport trying to find the signed copy that he had left in that airport. Long story, go watch that vlog if you're interested, but this book definitely has some cool memories attached to it. And the next question, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Goodness gracious, where do I start? A couple of books that I'm currently reading are The Senator's Wife by Liv Constantine. I'm not quite halfway through it, but working my way through this one and really enjoying it so far, so definitely want to finish that one. And I've started this one as of this morning, and that's The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. This is a nonfiction Christian book that multiple people have told me is life-changing and I need to pick it up, so definitely want to get to that one as well by the end of the year. Two others that I definitely need to get to, and I've sort of mentioned it before, is Finders Keepers and End of Watch. That is book 2 and 3 in the Bill Hodges trilogy that I need to read before Holly comes out in September. So my plan is to read Finders Keepers in July, so next month, and then read End of Watch in August. That way I'm ready to go for September. So those are definitely two more that I need to read by the end of this year. And just kind of thinking off the top of my head, I'm looking at my TBR cart. There's several others that I really want to get to by the end of this year, one of which is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager, The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. All books that I've heard are so good and that I really want to get to before the year is out. Ooh, and another big goal of mine, big, I mean literally, is 11/22/63 by Stephen King, which is right here. It's huge and it's been on my TBR for a long time, so hopefully I can get to that one. I'm kind of got my eye on it for November because my Stephen King TBR is a bit booked up until and through September. Like I said, I'm reading the Bill Hodges trilogy next month in August, then Holly in September if I can get my hands on it. So November is hopefully when I've got an open slot for a Stephen King. If you're somewhat new to my channel, I try to read a Stephen King book every month. Sometimes I have one that I've got my eye on and I just know that's the one I'm going to read. Other times, if I'm not really sure, I have a Stephen King TBR jar and I'll just pull one out at random and make myself read that. So that's kind of how things roll over here on my channel. There's so many books that I need to read by the end of the year. I can't possibly list them all, but I can't avoid it. I avoided the question. I skipped it at the beginning. If you remember, what is the best book that I've read so far in 2023? Thankfully, that narrows it down. It's not the best book of all time because I don't think I could answer that question. It's the best book of 2023 for me. Okay, let's pull up my Goodreads, shall we? I'm gonna make sure I look at all the ones that I've read so far this year. I've read 29 books this year, which is really good because I had kind of set a goal of like 40 books for this year, which it looks like I'm going to surpass that easily, so that's exciting. Oh my gosh, there's so many good ones here, like How to Sell a Haunted House, that was great. No Exit was great. The Ritual was so good. I loved A Time to Kill. I'm just reminiscing over all these books trying to pick one. Dead Silence, I loved that, had a lot of fun with that. Loved Mr. Mercedes. The Maid. Falling by TJ Newman, that was so good too. Okay, Holly, make a decision. Make a decision. When you think about a book that you read this year that just instantly comes to mind and is the most memorable, yep, there's a clear winner. And y'all are probably sick of hearing about it, but Fairy Tale by Stephen King. It just sticks out. I replay it in my head all the time. It is such a complex, beautiful story, and I just love it. It's become one of my favorites of his, and just one of my favorites that I've read this year. I really loved it. And I wonder if I'm alone in that, or if a lot of Stephen King fans enjoyed this one, because it was definitely kind of a different genre for him. It was more of the fantasy realm. He writes it like only Stephen King can, and I've heavily enjoyed this one. Well, that about wraps up the mid-year book freakout tag. I had a lot of fun doing this. It was hard because I hate deciding my favorite books because I just feel like the other ones get left out, or you know, they get their feelings hurt or something. But I had a lot of fun. I hope y'all enjoyed watching this video. I hope you maybe got some book recommendations that you haven't heard of before. I hope y'all had a great week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, y'all.